And now we have some of the results. If we could, Ken.
I'm told we can't report it yet.
The jury
we're
finds
verifying
him guilty. Count 2, the jury finds Hunter Biden guilty. And on count 3, which is possession of a firearm by a drug user or drug addict, guilty. Hunter Biden has just been found guilty on all 3 of the counts against it. Ken?
Yeah, I have to say, I mean, that's not a surprising verdict, particularly after 3 hours of jury deliberations. There was a lot of question here about whether there would be, nobody really predicted an acquittal, but whether there would be a hung jury, whether there would be one juror who held out, who was sympathetic to the idea that, no one was harmed, after all, by this gun. But the evidence was very straightforward, and now we see that the jury has essentially adopted the view of the prosecutors that Hunter Biden knowingly violated the law when he purchased a handgun while using drugs. And now he's going to live with the consequences of that. This is a felony conviction. As Jeff said, it's extremely unlikely that Hunter Biden will be incarcerated by this judge today. What's more likely is she sets a sentencing date 2 to 3 months from now, and then he'll go through a pre-sentencing investigation. He'll have to do an interview with the probation department. But right now, a big moment for Hunter Biden and for the President of the United States and the First Lady. First Lady's been here for many of the days of this trial. She's not here today. But again, Hunter Biden guilty on all 3 felony counts in this trial on gun charges, Jose.
Aaron Gilchrist, who is standing by, a White House correspondent. Aaron, the First Lady has been by Hunter Biden's side almost every day, even including flying back from France to be by his side. Is there any reaction by the White House or by the Biden family?
Yeah, we're still waiting for that reaction to come in. Obviously, it's only been a few seconds since this verdict was read. As Ken noted, the First Lady, as you just said, the First Lady had been in court for most of the proceedings over the course of the last week. She was there on day 1, sitting right behind her stepson, and only missed court on Thursday when she was overseas in France with the president for the D-Day commemorations there, flying back to the U.S. to be in court on Friday and then returning to France on Saturday to continue with the state dinner in that country. But this the family, in a significant way, has been behind Hunter Biden really from day 1. We know today, obviously, his wife was there with him. We believe his aunt may have been in the room as well, and other members of the family have been present in court throughout this week. For President Biden's part, he has sort of committed to not really talking about this case. He's saying in a statement last week on the first day of jury selection in this case that he was not going to comment on something that was a part of the work of the Justice Department. He did, though, during an interview with ABC News last week, say that he would accept the outcome from this jury. So now with these 3 guilty verdicts from the jury, we would expect that President Biden will stand by that. He was asked directly if he ruled out pardoning his son as well, and the president said yes to that question. Pardoning his son is not something that he was going to be doing. And so at this point, we wait to hear more, whether there might be some reaction from the president himself in the form of a statement. And just noting, too, Jose, that the president has said that he loves his son, that he and the First Lady love their son, that they're proud of him and the person that he's become, referencing his ability to combat a drug addiction and to seemingly come out on the other side a better person. And so at this point, Jose, we'll wait to see if we hear more from the president.
Thank you for that, Aaron. I'll also bring in defense attorney Misty Maris. And Misty, 3 hours, essentially, 3.5 hours of deliberations total over 2 days. What's your reaction to this?
Once I heard that the verdict was in, I suspected it was going to be guilty. Keep in mind, the prosecutor's case, the charges themselves, very, very technical. And prosecutors made the argument, do not leave your common sense at the door. You're looking at all of this evidence of drug use during this time, the critical time frame, October 2018. Now, that's not to say the defense didn't raise very, very clever arguments to really poke holes in that. But the jury obviously went with the prosecution's case and turned around very quickly. We were actually here just last hour saying, well, we don't really expect anything till this afternoon. So it seems that the jurors were pretty much on the same page. There's not too much deliberation here, and came back with the guilty verdict.
We understand that the First Lady, Jill Biden, has just recently entered the courthouse. And so, Misty, what's the process right now? And there we have these images of her heading right into the courthouse. Misty, so what's the process right now for Hunter Biden as we speak inside that courtroom?
So as of now, it's not likely that he's going to be taken into custody or anything like that. What's going to happen is there's going to be a sentencing hearing. It will be scheduled down the road. And in the interim, both sides, the prosecution and defense, will submit briefs that will basically present the arguments as to what the penalty should be for that sentencing phase. So again, we're talking about a case that's not typically charged, where the gun was not used in any other crimes, where this was not a case of felon in possession. That's where you usually see these charges. We're also talking about something that happened in 2018, and there's not a violent history in between. So all of those factors go and are taken into account as to whether or not the defendant, in this case Hunter Biden, is actually taken into custody in the interim or released on their own recognizance, which is what I would expect to happen here. And then the pathway to the sentencing hearing will begin.
And so, Jeff, what options after the sentencing hearing gets underway, which we understand that as of right now, it hasn't been set as of right now. But, Jeff, what are Hunter Biden's options going forward as far as appealing, et cetera, going forward?
Well, he certainly has a right to appeal the verdict. And when he meets with the probation office, if he intends to appeal the verdict, it will impact upon how much remorse he shows. Because he wants to preserve the issues and not admit that he committed a violation, a criminal violation. On the other hand, he cannot deny and has not denied that he's an addict or was an addict. And that's certainly something he will discuss with the probation office. You know, I have to say, as a side note, Jose, Jill Biden was in court most of the time in the front row. And defense counsel always encouraged defendants to have family support there. Here you have the First Lady, and the jurors just disregarded it, really, and found him guilty. So it could be that it really doesn't have much of an impact on a jury.